Thank you, Mr. Morrison. We will move on to item 32, Yuba City Wastewater Collection and Treatment Ordinance Update. Ms. Langley.
Thank you. Before I move on, I just want to say you made a lot of staff very happy with that last item. That's probably one of the biggest complaints that we get is related to particularly the small PO threshold. So we have a lot of excited people tomorrow. All right, so the item before you is the wastewater collection and treatment ordinance update. For background, this is Title 6, Chapter 6. Water regulations was updated in November 2019. Staff has identified similar need to update the wastewater ordinance to match some of the changes, and it was last updated in August 2016 to incorporate the rates that were approved through the Prop 218 process. There are two major additions proposed as part of this ordinance update, one being city enforcement options, and then two being wastewater fees financing. And then there's some minor clarification and grammatical edits. So many of the edits are minor clarification language changes or codification of practices already implemented by council action or daily operations. There's a lot of situations that come up day to day related to individuals wanting to connect to the wastewater system, and the code doesn't necessarily address it. So as we updated this, we thought back to what are those questions that we get to try to address those. And then again, the two major updates that are proposed related to city enforcement options and wastewater fees financing. So the enforcement options, ownership of the service lateral and maintenance of the service lateral. So the identified issue is a property owner that's unwilling or unable to repair the service lateral damage or malfunction. And so the enforcement measure is the ability to repair and charge the property owner with failure to reimburse tied to the judicial enforcement remedies and penalty provisions. With that, we're also working on a program that will come before council to be able to assist property owners with repairing their sewer lateral. Because we get into situations where property owners are unable to pay for that, that repair, and it's a health and safety issue. And so we want to be able to have enforcement measures, but also we want to be able to figure out a program to be able to assist people if they are unable to do that. The second item is separate sewers. So right now we're unable to require old shared service laterals to be separated. You can imagine sewer lines were installed 100 years ago. It's one lateral that's going to several buildings. And so with this, once the lateral fails, this would require that the buildings separate and have separate sewer laterals going to each building. With private sewer lines, no infiltration or leaks. Right now, the city is unable to prevent ongoing infiltration, leaks, or public health risks caused by private service laterals. So again, this would be addressed through the nuisance abatement ordinance, where we could enforce and encourage residents to fix those laterals, and again, have a program in place to assist with financing of that. And then the fourth item down, fats, oils, and grease, or what we love to call FOG. This would give us the ability to make people comply with our FOG program. In regard to wastewater fee financing, in 2019 with the water ordinance update, we provided a provision for property owners to be able to finance their connection fees. And so with this ordinance update, they would be able to also finance their wastewater connection fees. It adds the connection extension fees to property taxes via a 10-year lien. There is an interest rate assigned to it. It keeps the upfront cost of wastewater connection from being prohibitive. And so you have properties out there that are currently on a septic system. They come get a quote from the city to connect to city water or sewer. It's a pretty significant upfront cost. And so through this program, they have the ability to finance it through the city. Those agreements would come to council for approval. And so you would be aware of those situations. And then with that, the recommendation is to introduce an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Yuba City to amend Chapter 5 of Title 6 of the Yuba City Municipal Code and waive the first reading. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions from the council? Okay, seeing none, any questions or comments from the public? Mr. Burns.
Thomas Burns. I'm getting mailers all the time from a company that's trying to get you to pay for an insurance program. Okay, but what is the average cost, okay, you're talking just sewer line, right? Not your main water line?
So what this would cover is when you go to connect to the city sewer line, you pay connection fees, which pays for your share of the wastewater treatment facility and the large diameter trunk lines that transport the sewage to the wastewater treatment facility. You also pay extension fees if the sewer line already fronts to your property. That pays for your half of the sewer line that's directly in front of your property. So this isn't actually constructing the lateral in terms of this financing program. This is to pay for the fees that you would owe the city just to be able to connect. In terms of the modifications for city enforcement options, this would apply to the lateral that goes from the sewer main to the house. And we run into situations periodically where property owners have a failing lateral and they either don't want to repair it because it's costly or they're unable to repair it. And so we get into difficult situations where, we're very limited in what we can do. Through this ordinance update, we'll have the ability to repair it if we need to, and then either back charge the property owner and work with them to come up with a payment plan, or through this other program that we'll be proposing where they could apply for financing to assist with that as well.
So do you have an average cost for both of those situations? I'm just curious.
For the connection fees, my recollection is those are about $8,000 right now for the connection fees. Extension fees are in the range of, I think, approximately about $55 a lineal foot. So the frontage of your property times that extension fee footage. So for somebody to connect to city wastewater, if they have, a 100-foot lot, you're looking in the range of $13,000 plus, $13,000 to $15,000, and that's before you actually go dig into the street to actually construct the lateral if you need to. Some subdivisions, the lateral is already stubbed out, and so, they don't have to pay for that, but it's a pretty significant upfront cost if somebody, and then in addition to that, to pay to abandon their septic system.
What about the lateral repair?
The lateral, it really depends upon where it's at and what it is. So where we see a lot is the connection to the city main. It's failed over time where it actually just like disconnects. And so you can imagine that's out in the middle of the street. Depending upon the depth of the main, it could be anywhere from 5 feet deep to 15 feet deep. And so it has to be a Class A contractor that comes out and makes that repair. And so that's going to be, say it's in the middle of Live Oak Boulevard. That's a very costly repair compared to it's a crack in the pipe due to a tree root that's on their property. You still have a lot of issues with water getting into the sewer line, which impacts us. But from a cost perspective, it could be much less because it's really going on doing a spot repair within the yard. So it really varies.
All right, thank you. Any other comments from the public? Okay, any comments online?
No public comment.
Okay, we'll bring it back to the council for action.
Through the mayor,
Yes, sir.
first time to make a motion in a year. I'd like to introduce an ordinance, or make a motion to approve introducing an ordinance amending Chapter 5 wastewater collection and treatment of Title 6 of the Yuba City Municipal Code by title only and waive the first reading.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. Thank you.